Hi there, Summoners! GuardianE here with another live reaction and first impression video for Fire Emblem Heroes. And today we have another Feh Channel, the second Feh Channel of August 2023, and this is going to be the big one. This is going to be the reveal of the Choose Your Legends designs for the winners from earlier this year. So let's hop into it, let's get started, and let's see what they came up with. So, of course, as a recap, the winners from earlier this year, Soren, Robin, Corrin, and Gullveig is who we're looking forward to. And Feh seems like she's still enjoying the beach, still having that summertime fun. Yay, Feh Channel! So there's the reveal. There's also some dragon flowers there to the side. Alright, round 7. Let's see the designs.
Are you on the edge of your seat? Are you trembling?
Man, I forgot how close Soren and Robin were to each other in total votes. Alright, Women's Division, second place. This is going to be Corrin. The feet first, okay. Oh, wow! Oh, she looks so regal. Beautiful. Silent Bloodline. Yeah, it is Vala. It's definitely Vala influenced royal gear.
Corrin's weapon skill is called Vala Stone.
Vala Stone. It has this heavenly look to it. Love the glow. Okay, got damage reduction built in, preventing units' follow-up attacks. Alright, or guaranteeing her follow-up attacks, I should say.
The spaces around Corrin
Oh!
very strange. Oh,
A divine vein?
they apply special effects to spaces.
That makes total sense. Like, I figured that they would release something like this in the game at some point, and it looks like that's gonna happen with Corrin here. Okay.
It also reduces damage from foe specials by 10, and from
Okay.
effect specials by 50%.
Huh.
And let's not forget her
Exclusive A slot. Oh, so she has an exclusive skill, even though she's a second placer.
Combine that with her B skill,
And counter roar.
and she has plenty of options for reducing.
I mean, so I do think Corrin deserves it, for sure.
Not only that, but her counterattacks will
Kind of makes me feel bad about, like, second place winners from past years, though, that didn't get their own unique skill, but
Corrin, if you ask me.
classic Corrin. We'll definitely be taking a closer look at this. I think the trailer's probably going to drop tonight, so this is naturally going to be Soren. There he is.
Soren is the second place winner of the men's division.
He looks good.
He's dressed as an Archsage of Tellius.
Archsage of Tellius.
With the power of wind magic around him.
Right, right.
Soren's weapon skill is Archsage Tome.
Archsage
which strengthens
Tome.
nearby allies and
Okay.
grants an assign decoy effect to them. Allies with assign
Assign
decoy
decoy.
can activate the savior effect against foes with the same attack.
Oh my god, alright.
Archsage Tome also increases
Do we really need more
the
units with save skills? I feel like save skills...
easy if there's an ally
I don't know.
nearby.
I personally feel like save
Soren's
skills...
exclusive A skill is
I don't know.
Rare Talent.
Rare Talent is going to be his A slot skill.
More points higher than his
Interesting,
foes.
okay.
He can attack twice when he initiates combat.
I mean, I guess it makes sense to give save skills to a unit that's not necessarily an armored unit, because we do have... Oh, he's got his own unique special?
60% of his foes' resistance stacked to the damage.
60% of foes res?
70% or higher.
And restores HP. So either it heals him back up to his threshold, or he does more damage if he has a certain HP threshold. Okay.
And heal him for 30%.
That's very good. That's very good.
From Soren.
Okay, so Green Mage for Soren there. So Gullveig's interesting because they can go in a lot of directions with her. And... Oh, cool! Alright! So it is going to be sort of a blend between Gullveig and Seer, yeah.
How she feels, wearing something that reminds her of the past.
Interesting.
Gullveig's weapon skill is the Cycle's
The Cycle's Turn, okay. So she's going to be a blue mage.
Depending on the number of turns passed.
Okay, number of turns passed. So that's going to be similar to... So it's going to be one of those sort of countdown skills that gets enhanced over time as the turns pass. Okay.
B skill is Gold Unwinding.
Gold Unwinding.
When she has half or more of her HP remaining and she
initiates combat.
she can reduce the damage she takes from the foe's first
Okay, so she gets damage reduction built in.
On top of that,
And then gravity.
Extra action once every 2 turns.
And an extra action once every 2 turns.
Skill, Flared Sparrow.
Flared Sparrow.
Attack and speed when she initiates combat. And
Okay.
can do 7 damage to her foe once combat begins.
Alright.
It also applies the Flame Divine Vein effect to the spaces around
Oh,
the foe
wow.
after attacking.
So they're really going in hard on this whole Divine Vein effect thing. So it's not going to be something that's just unique to Corrin. It's something that is actually just going to be an effect. Okay. I can see the fun potential there. I can see that totally being a cool thing. And then here is going to be Robin. Okay. He's looking quite dapper, and he's actually going to be wielding a sword this time around. Deliverer's Brand, and he's going to be a red sword unit. Damage reduction. I think everybody's had damage reduction built into their weapon at this point, right? Oh, interesting. Huh.
Can both increase the damage he deals with his special by up to 15,
Okay.
and reduce his foe's damage by up to 50%. It pairs very
I see.
nicely with his weapon skill.
Huh.
Robin's
It
exclusive
tipped the scales,
skill
of course.
is Tip the Scales.
Tip the scale with C-slot skill, Rally Spectrum.
To himself and allies within 2 spaces.
Right.
If an ally with Rally Spectrum is within 5 spaces, he can move next to them.
Oh, okay. All
Rally
right.
Spectrum increases all stats and reduces special cooldown count before an attack.
All right.
Robin sure knows how to
So it is interesting that he like capitalizes on defense scaling specials, which makes a lot of sense. Okay.
The heroes chosen in Choose Your
All
Legends
right.
Round 7 will appear in the new
So the
Hero
summoning event will be
Summoning
Turn of
Event
Fate
beginning on August
and
16th.
August 16th. Okay.
On top of that,
Yes.
you'll be able to summon a free focus
Free
hero
5-star
after 40 summons
after
in the new
so
Hero
everybody will be able to
Summoning
spark, of course.
Event. And you can do it again
We know that.
after 80, 120,
Yep.
and
So as usual, we can spark 4 times on this banner, but you can only get 1 copy of each of the heroes. So that is
Of course,
same as always.
there will be a
Free summon
this year
event.
too, during which you can summon a 5-star hero of your choice.
Right, because you can pick one of them guaranteed, right? Yeah. Okay.
That reminds me.
And
Heroes
then
of Fate free summoning event featuring heroes from the Choose Your Legends Round 5 event
Right.
will end on August 30th. Don't forget to take advantage of that free summon.
oh, okay.
Say, don't we have a grand hero battle coming up?
Um.
I'm Cyril.
Oh.
Always at Lady Rhea's call.
Oh, it's Cyril. Okay.
Yeah.
As a Grand Hero battle. All right.
This time is Cyril from the Fire Emblem by
All right. So he's making his debut in the game. Yeah.
Lady Rhea.
Always ever loyal to Rhea. Rhea's attendant. We're getting Cyril as a Grand Hero battle unit. I feel like that's pretty appropriate. Yeah, there were so many skills flying around. I feel like this batch got like a lot of like exclusive stuff for each, whether they were the winners or the second place runner-ups. Oh, okay. They're increasing the cap here. I mean, it's always good when they do this. It always just boosts the viability of older units in general. So it's quite a difference. I mean, 30 dragon flowers, it makes a pretty big difference in terms of the stat line at this point. All right, some more dragon flowers. We'll take those. And almost sunset. Almost. Oh, there. Hey, look at all of them. And Anna's there too. Askran time scramble.
There's a website with a special story.
Website with a special story.
There's a link to it in the video description.
Oh.
So go ahead and give it a look from there.
Oh, well maybe we can go check that out.
That's all we've got for today.
All right, back to sleep with you, Faye. So, all right. Okay, so probably we can check out that time scramble. I think that's actually it's an interesting play because I think that with Gullveig it opens up a lot of doors for them to introduce a reason why the characters are back, and I think with Gullveig in particular they had a lot of opportunity to explore just her background a little bit, and use the time element to make her pretty unique versus the future version of Gullveig that we're definitely going to be getting in the game as a mythic hero at some point, right? So we'll definitely check out the whole time scramble thing that Feh was citing, and we'll also take a closer look, I think, at the trailer that dropped, because I'm sure it dropped like just now. So we can take a look at the trailer, of course, to get a better look at the skills. But there's so much going on with the skills. They all have their own unique weapons, of course, but each of them has like their own unique skills, and they all are introducing new skills too. So it's quite a plethora of different abilities to kind of digest and take in. From an art perspective, I think Corrin looks great here. Nice, clean art, really beautiful design. I think it works really well, and it very much complements her legendary version in a lot of ways. So I dig that. Love the crown, love the outfit. Definitely like the Vala influence. I think it looks very, very nice. I think Soren looks really good too as an archmage. Again, they always do a pretty darn good job with the art for the Choose Your Legends heroes, so I was really expecting no less. And I think Soren, they did him justice. I think he looks good here. Nice, clean art, lots of nice detailing in the just the ornate trappings of the robes and everything. I think it looks very, very nice. And of course with Gullveig, obviously the gorgeous art by Yoshiku. But I think they had an interesting angle here in approaching it from sort of a mid-stage between Seer and Gullveig, and it fits, it works, it's really eclectic and sort of unique all on its own. There's this vibrancy to it, and you can definitely see the transition come to life. And then here is Robin, the male winner of Choose Your Legends 7, and I think his robe, the colorful robe, looks great on him. He is actually going to be a sword unit. I know a lot of people were thinking that maybe he would be using 11 swords, and it's in a lot of ways that's what he's known for, but he is wielding a blade, but it is actually going to be handed down from his buddy Crom, right? So makes a lot of sense here. Deliverer's brand. Lots of cool effects here, and then of course the whole like divine vein things going on. Very, very curious to see how that plays out, especially since it seems like it's actually tied to some inheritable skills. So that's going to be, I'm curious to see more about that. So, all right, so let's take a look at the whole Askran time scramble here. So starting August 14th, so starting from today, and there's watch the opening, and what is this? What is this? It looks like a tournament or something? Let's see here. So they actually do have the video here. So we can watch this too. It's only a minute and 2 minutes or so. So Askr's Crisis. Oh no, the crops! What happened to the crops? Alright, there's our new heroes. Minus Gullveig. This is bad. Really bad. Quite the grim exclamation. What's going on? The Kingdom of Askr is quickly headed to bankruptcy. What have you done now, Commander? Why do you think this is my fault? The influx of heroes in Askr has increased overall equipment cost, and we had a bad harvest this year, which has stretched our finances even thinner. Askr's coffers are empty. We're having to send heroes out hunting for food. That's horrible. Perhaps a food conservation plan in the meantime. If only we'd been successful in expanding our fields. I don't see a solution. How will we overcome this? Perilous indeed. Gullveig wait, Gullveig, that's it. You can return to the past. To what end? Please take these 3 back in time so we can make our field expansion plan a success. So they're sending everybody back in time to be farmers? Do it for the Order of Heroes. No, for the Summoner. That's asking a lot of Gullveig. I am curious how her personality is going to be since she is in this transitional like period. Every bit of power. Okay. That's it? Wait, that's it? That didn't explain anything. So, I guess, can we click these? Oh, we can read their stories. So Gullveig doesn't have a story, so I think so she's sending each of the other heroes back? Is that right? Using Gullveig's power, Corrin traveled to the past. Oh! Huh, so this is like kind of their way of expanding the story without putting it in the game? I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like they should try to put stuff like this in the game. Like, I like them expanding things overall. I like the effort involved, but that being said, I mean, I don't know how expansive this is. When she opened her eyes, she beheld the worried faces of her comrades. Are you alright, Corrin? It's nothing. I'm just not quite used to traveling back in time yet. Traveling back in time? Are you sure you're feeling alright? Yeah, so this is, again, it's like kind of like storytelling outside of the game, which I feel like they... Yeah, you know, I just feel like, and not to be nitpicky, but I feel like this is stuff that is outside of the game that really should be in the game as far as storytelling. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm glad that they're expanding on things. Maybe they feel tied down to the visual novel aspect of in the game where you can only have one character at a time. Maybe I don't know how that's coded in there, and maybe they have difficulties with expanding that. But I feel like they should try to do it then. If they wanna expand the story elements in the game. I think that would do wonders actually for the storytelling element as well. So we have options here. Look for a water source or search the mountains. Let's look for a water source. Yay, we get to go on an adventure with the summoner. Alright, everyone move out. Okay, so these are the diverging paths. So you'll just be able to choose different paths with different characters and different choices to lead down that way. So at the bottom, so here is going to be Xander and going through this. So I'm not going to go through all of this with all of you right now, but I mean it is interesting. I like this thing. I just wish it was in the game. Like they could code it. If they really wanted to, they could definitely code this, and they could. But again, anyway, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. So definitely check this out, the Askran Time Scramble. I don't know if we all get rewards or anything at the end. Maybe this tells us select an active story, read through, clearing stories. Clearing certain event stories will unlock bonus stories, and clearing certain bonus stories will unlock stories featuring Gullveig. Okay. You can learn a little bit more about Gullveig. Alright. So first up on deck we have female Corrin, who is going to be an infantry colorless dragon, a great archetype for her. Very fitting. Valastone is going to be her unique weapon. And she has a killer slaying effect after unit acts, if Kanto triggers after Kanto. So it's always going to be the last thing as part of her attack. Or action, I guess, because she doesn't even have to attack. It applies Dragon or Divine Vein Stone to unit space and spaces within 2 space of unit for 1 turn. At start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, inflicts -5 to all stats on foe. Neutralizes effects that guarantee foes follow-up attacks, and effects that prevent units' follow-up attacks as well. Reduces damage from attacks to 30%, and then also adaptive damage. So a really interesting element to this, Divine Vein Stone. This applies the following effect to on space for unit and allies. Defense and res +6 during combat, reduces damage from foes' specials by 10 during combat, so it's a fixed number damage reduction. Excluding AoE specials, reduces damage from AoE specials by 50%, excluding Rocker, okay, right, and Divine Vein effects do not stack. Replaces any existing Divine Vein effect. Divine Vein effect applied simultaneously cancel each other out, does not count as defensive terrain. That's actually a really interesting distinction. Okay, so it doesn't count as defensive terrain, also presumably it stacks with defensive terrain. So it says it does not stack with, Divine Vein does not stack as an effect, but I mean that I would assume that means 2 Divine Veins on the same tile don't stack with each other. But I would presume that it would stack with a defense tile. So really that's just going to increase the overall sturdiness of Corrin and her allies within the Divine Vein Stone effect, which is pretty scary because dragons right now really do have such a powerful number of B slot and C slot effects that allow them to capitalize on high defenses, and she's going to do this. She's going to do this in spades. So her A slot skill is going to be Realms United, very appropriate name of her being this Vala princess. So she has units can counterattack regardless of foe's range, so she has distant counter built in. If foe's initiates combat or foe's HP is greater than or equal to 75% at start of combat, -7 on foe. So that's stacking with the effect of her weapon, which was -5. So that's a lot of in-combat debuff. Reduces damage from foe's first attack by 7 during combat. So again, this fixed number of damage reduction, which is interesting, because that does actually work very, very well when paired with percentage damage reduction and scaling damage reduction together to really nullify the amount of damage that she sustains. I mean, yeah, what can I say? It's an overcharged distant counter. It's distant counter with a huge stat penalty on the enemy, in-combat stat penalty, as well as fixed damage reduction all built in. Those are all things that are going to make her much, much tankier and much, much scarier to initiate against. And so Counter Roar 4 is going to be her B-slot skill that is going to be inheritable. Inflicts speed, attack, -4 on foe, reduces damage from foe's first attack during combat by 30%. You know, I just talked about how fixed number damage reduction scales very, very well with percentile-based damage reduction, and as you can see, she has that cooked into her B-slot skill. So those are going to work very, very well together off of the first attack specifically. And unit's next attack deals damage equal to 30% of foe's attack damage based prior to reduction. So it's a buy-it effect. Basically, she reduces damage by 30% and then deals that 30% back. Of course, it has that little disclaimer because you could have all these stacking damage reduction effects. So it wants to be clear that it's actually the full 30% damage reduction that it removes, and then that it inflicts back on the enemy. Resets at the end of combat. Only highest value apply. Restores 7 HP to unit after combat. So it has just healing at the end of combat as well, just for giggles, I guess. I mean, might as well, I suppose. Yeah, that's quite powerful. It's quite a powerful effect there. All right, so Soren here is going to be a green tome unit. Arch Sage Tome is his weapon. Killer slaying effect at start of turn grants +6 to all stats and assign decoy to any support partner within 2 spaces of unit, or if unit is not on a team with a unit support partner, to ally with the highest defense within 2 spaces of unit for 1 turn. I think that's a typo. All right, so rest assured, they carved out this other condition for him. If you don't want to mess with the shenanigans of the support partner and dealing with that, you don't have to. It still has the assigned decoy effect, irrespective of whether or not you have a support partner. It just happens to then be the highest defense unit within 2 spaces. So if unit is within 3 spaces of an ally, grants bonus to units attack speed, defense res during combat equal to 5, plus highest bonus on each stat between allies within 3 spaces of unit, calculates each stat bonus independently, and if unit's res is greater than foe's res, reduces damage from attacks during combat and from AoE specials by percentage equal to difference between stats times 4, max 40%. So that's certainly interesting. It gives Soren the ability to effectively create or bestow the ability to be a savior unit or a save unit on one of his allies, and it doesn't have to be in armor. So we're seeing the expansion, and we've seen it a lot in a lot of cases where you have infantry units that are effectively cavalry in a lot of ways, or able to sort of have the properties of that are kind of unique to other movement types. And so this is kind of Soren's ability to grant that and bestow that ability to all sorts of other units. I mean, I don't know. At the risk of sounding bitter, do we really need more save units out there? I feel like I feel like save units were a mistake to begin with. But that being said, I do think it's certainly a unique ability, and I think an interesting expansion of that utility. So he's got rare talent for the A-slot skill. At start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, grants +7 to all stats, disables foes' effects that have adaptive damage, okay. During combat, and also the following effects will occur based on the value of unit's res minus foes' res if greater than or equal to 1, neutralize effects that inflict guard, okay, on unit during combat. If greater than or equal to 10, and either foe's range is equal to 2 or unit initiates combat, unit attacks twice during combat. So, alright, so that is certainly that's certainly a rare talent. It's appropriately named. So if there is going to be a large res differential between him and his opponent, he is actually going to get a brave effect for his weapon. Foe's range is equal to 2 or unit initiates combat. So irrespective of what the enemy's weapon type is, he'll actually have a brave effect. However, if he's fighting against a ranged foe, he can also have the brave effect even on enemy phase. It seems like, anyway, as long as the res differential is high enough. So there is this res check that's built into this rare talent, which is pretty unique. At a base level, simply enough, I mean, it gives +7 to all of his stats and disables adaptive damage when he has a very low HP threshold, which is very easy to meet. And then here is Soren's unique special, which is Flare. It's going to have an HP condition to it, but that's just going to change the type of special that it is. Whether it's going to be doing max damage when he's at near full health or above 70% health. If he's below that, it's going to do a little bit less damage, but he's going to heal a huge amount of healing in order to get back up to and reach the threshold for the full damage flare. So it's a multi-purpose special. It's only going to heal when he really needs it to heal, and when he doesn't need it to heal, it's just going to do a boatload of damage. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So here is Gullveig. It looks like she is an infantry unit. So she's not cavalry. She's actually going to be an infantry blue tome unit. Her weapon is the Cycle's Turn. It enables Kanto 1. Always nice to see on a ranged unit to just have a default Kanto 1. Has a killer slaying effect if unit initiates combat or bonuses active on unit, which is pretty easy to meet. +5 to all stats to unit, grants attack speed +X to unit. X is the number of turns times 2, max 10. Deals damage equal to 20% of unit speed. That's fixed damage, true damage. And neutralize effects that guarantee foes follow-up attacks and effects that prevent units follow-up attacks during combat. So there's a lot of great stuff packed into that weapon right there. Kanto is always going to be great. Killer slaying effect, boost to damage, has a weapon that progressively gets more powerful as the turns pass, which I think it's very unique, very powerful, and also kind of lends itself to the idea that she's sort of transforming into Gullveig or just gaining more power, and so therefore as the turns pass she's just gaining that much more strength, because time is her thing. And then deals damage, so then true damage, and then being able to double with impunity. Not being prevented from doubling when she can naturally double, and preventing the enemy's ability to double. Alright, so Gold Unwinding is going to be her unique B-slot skill. Inflicts speed res -5 on foe during combat. That is going to help her naturally double and do that much more damage. At start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 50%, and unit initiates combat, reduces damage from foe's first attack by 60%, during combat. So she may not have a desperation effect, but even if she doesn't, she's going to be doing so much damage reduction to the enemy that it's going to help her sustain any retaliatory attack. And if unit initiates combat, grants another action to unit after combat, so she gets her own refresh here, and inflicts gravity on unit and pair up cohort through their next action. Alright, so that is going to put a gravity effect on her, so that she just can't kind of just go willy-nilly, I guess, after initiating and getting her own refresh there, to try to balance it out a bit, I guess. So that, I mean, it's still very powerful. That's still having a self-refresh. I guess they might be worried about the fact that she's self-refreshing and ranged. Alright, so Flared Sparrow for the A-slot skill. This is going to be inheritable. If unit initiates combat, so on player phase, deals 7 damage to foe as combat begins. That's really interesting. We haven't seen that effect yet in the game, where you get out of combat damage basically right before, or as you initiate and before the combat begins. Deals or grants attack speed +7 to unit during combat, and applies Divine Vein Flame on 5 spaces in a line centered on foe's space, oriented left to right based on the direction the unit is facing for 1 turn after combat. So the Divine Vein Flame it applies the following effects on the space. Acts as difficult terrain for foes with range equal to 2, specifically. Okay. Alright, so moving over this space costs +1 movement. Movement cost cannot exceed units allowed movement. Cannot be slowed by terrain effects. Do not apply. That's interesting. At start of enemy phase, deals 7 damage to foe, and also, as combat begins, deals an additional 7 damage to foe. Effects that reduce damage during combat do not apply, will not reduce foe's HP below 1. Divine Vein effects do not stack, blah, 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 blah. Okay, alright. So that's just actually going to do continual chip damage on the enemy as long as they stay within those tiles, and even if they're initiating on you. There's a lot of shenanigans that you can do with this, especially since the AI is not the brightest. The AI is also not set up to avoid these tiles, so the AI is going to just sit on those tiles and kill themselves, effectively, or basically, cripple themselves right before they attack into you and then die. I'm curious if the AI is smart enough to know that it's going to be taking damage on the tile before initiation, because the AI's behavior is always centered and focused around the amount of damage it can be doing and optimizing that, and using, I think, the actual combat preview as the rationale for its decision making. But I don't know if the tile is going to be taken into effect with the combat calculation when you first click on the and right before you engage. So I don't know if the AI is even going to take the Divine Vein into consideration or not. I mean, that's kind of interesting to think about. I think that could, depending on the map composition, you could basically wall off an area and make it so the enemy kind of just lines up and hurts themselves on those tiles. I think this really lends itself to diverse team compositions where, since this is going to be on a player-facing unit, they can have them initiate, create the Divine Veins, reposition out to safety, and then put in your your tanky unit to be able to really take advantage of the Divine Veins that's right there. So yeah, that opens up some doors. That has interesting implication. And then of course the men's division first place winner, we do have male Robin here, who is going to be an infantry sword unit. So he has Deliverer's Brand from his buddy, grants at speed +6, grants speed +3 at start of combat. If unit has at least 25% HP, grants +5 to all stats, reduces damage from foe's first attack by 40%, and neutralize effects that have a blade effect on the foe or inflicts a guard effect on the unit during combat. Also, if unit's max special cooldown value is greater than or equal to 3, and unit's attack can trigger unit special, when unit special triggers, neutralizes reduces damage by X% effects from non-special skills. Okay, alright, so it has damage reduction nullification with certain conditions. At start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, and unit triggers the Glowing Ember, Bonfire, or Ignis special attack, calculates the foes using the lower of defense. Right, so he has adaptive damage. If he does have a special that scales off of his defense, presumably he is going to have some pretty darn high defense. And in most cases, it looks like you're going to want to have a relatively higher special cooldown count. It is curious. I was wondering why he didn't have a killer slaying effect like most of the units do, but there might be balanced reasons behind that, specifically because of this whole, the special cooldown count value is greater than or equal to 3 thing. So in order for that to initiate, and having that neutralizing of damage reduction, that might be kind of the reason there. So that's certainly interesting. We haven't seen that before, where having a certain special type ends up changing the effects or meeting the conditions of the weapon to do different things. So that is pretty unique. And then having the damage reduction plus the neutralizing of the blade, the neutralizing of the guard effect, and all that stuff is going to be definitely quite useful. Alright, so Gambit 4 for the B-slot skill, which implies that it's inheritable. Inflicts speed defense -4 on a foe during combat, and also if unit or foe's attack can trigger unit special, deals damage during combat equal to unit's max special cooldown count value -2 × 5, max 15, excluding AoE specials. So that actually could allow him to do a maximum of 15 true damage just from this skill alone. And it's on the B slot as well, which is, again, a skill that you don't see a ton of damage enhancement abilities tied to. Reduces damage from attacks during combat and from AoE specials by percentage equal to unit's max special cooldown count value ×10, max 50%. So once again, we're seeing a lot of these things tied to his max cooldown special, so that does create some synergy there, not only with his weapon, but also with the B-slot skill that's here, not only providing damage reduction, but true damage as well as an in-combat debuff. Those are all things that are really going to bolster the amount of damage that he does, and his survivability. And then, of course, his own unique skill, Tip the Scales, as his C-slot at start of turn. If unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants Rally Spectrum to unit and allies within 2 spaces of unit. Unit can move to a space adjacent to an ally with Rally Spectrum that is within 5 spaces of unit. If unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants +3 to all stats to unit during combat. So he gets an in-combat boost, huge mobility boost. He can just warp all over the place. And then Rally Spectrum, he'll grant that to both him and his allies within 2 spaces of the unit. And that grants +5 to all stats to unit during combat. So that grants +5 to all stats to unit during combat. And remember, that stacks with buffs to the actual stat line, the actual cyan or the blue colors on the actual stat line. This actually stacks with that separately as an activated buff. If unit's attack can trigger unit special, so basically if he's using that Bonfire, that Ignis, grant special cooldown count -X to unit before unit's first attack during combat, where X equals 1 if unit can trigger the unit attack's twice effect, or if unit's maximum special count is reduced. Otherwise, X equals 2. So he is going to get that before combat cooldown reduction on his special, and all of his allies are going to get that too, because any ally that has Rally Spectrum on them are all going to enjoy this effect, where they have boosted stats, and they're going to get cooldown reduction before they actually initiate, in a lot of cases being able to proc their special right away. So that's definitely a very, very powerful effect. So once again, your Choose Your Legends 7 winners in all of their glory. Turn of Fate is going to be starting on the 16th. You're going to be able to choose one of them for free. And then you're also going to be able to spark on the banner up to 4 times, but only be able to select each of the heroes 1 time. So you can get you can guarantee yourself 1 copy of each if you're willing to go up to the 40 pulls each time. I mean, honestly, it's Choose Your Legend 7. You probably don't need me to tell you to summon on this because you're probably already have been saving for this event. We all knew that the characters were going to be very, very strong. I think they all bring very, very unique things. Even if you're not interested in the characters, I think the skills that they bring, the fodder that they have is actually really unique too. Having an introduction, the whole Divine Veins thing is really interesting, and that adds a whole new element to what they can add in the future too. We're going to see a lot more Divine Veins in the future, I am certain of that, and so this is kind of the introduction into that strategic value that a unit can bring. And then each of them also just has like unique gimmicks to themselves. I think that that has a lot of value overall. And they're going to be powerful. I mean, there's no question there. They're definitely going to be strong, and the value of being able to get these units in your barracks and guarantee the ability to get these units in your barracks cannot be understated. So this is definitely going to be a big summoning event for a lot of folks out there, and I wish you all the best of luck on your summons on this particular banner. But let me know down below in the comments what your thoughts are on the banner, on the characters themselves. Did they meet your expectations, power-wise, art-wise, design-wise? Were you disappointed? Are you elated? What are your thoughts? What are your feelings? How hard are you going to go in on the banner? Are you skipping? Are you saying, nah, I'm not interested? Nah, son, I'm saving for something else on the horizon? I don't know. Let me know. But hopefully you all enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to leave us a like, comment, subscribe to the channel for more Fire Emblem Heroes content. We thank you all so much for watching, for taking time out of your day to spend with us. We really do appreciate it. And until next time, let's protect those skies.